Opening day for all 30 Major League Baseball teams is tomorrow, and it should be a national holiday. I'm JJ Jurjevich. Welcome to episode 191 of ATL Prime Sports. Joining me this evening is our fabulous producer, Wayne Ridenauer in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. And again, you can catch us all at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, Apple and Spotify. And if you like the content, please give us a like, a thumbs up, or a subscribe. Leave a review on Apple or Spotify. That really help us out. We do this for fun, so let's keep it going. Our personal X's at JJ Get You One for myself, at RWY Jr. for Wayne, at Corder Todd, TC Todd Corder. Again, at Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder, who is on his way back from the ACHA Nationals. And at LG for Real, though, who had an important meeting and is in the field tonight. Wayne, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. But, they had a NASCAR race down in Homestead, and Mr. Kyle Larson with Hendrick Motorsports won that one. So we're getting a lot of different winners this year, and it's good to see Kyle Larson win because Kyle Larson's one of those racers that even former NASCAR drivers look at and go, this guy really knows what he's doing. So he's good to watch. How about yourself, man?
Man, I'm doing great. Not as well as the Atlanta Drive Golf Club of the Golf League, though, of the TGL. They won the inaugural TGL championship, beating New York 2-0 in dramatic fashion. Billy Horschel, a.k.a. Billy Ho, sinks a double breaking putt that put the drive up for good. I can't wait to see the Golf League next season. This was absolutely one of the most fun things I've watched, Wayne. It gripped me. It ripped me. You were with everything. I love the team aspect, as I do for Live Golf. This is something the PGA could build off of. I'd love to see events like this in real golf, and we'll see what happens. But I am doing well, but not as well as the Golf League. In Atlanta, hoisting a championship trophy. What are we doing down here, folks? Arthur Blank, We're going to have a parade? What are we doing?
You got to do something.
What's on tap for today's show? A preview of the upcoming Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekend, in the annual MLB opening day prediction segment right here on ATL Prime Sports, where we always pick every division and every wild card at the beginning of every year. We have some fun with it. We don't do World Series predictions here, not until the nitty-gritty time. We do the divisional predictions, the stuff that matters. But let's tip this show off, unintended, with the Sweet 16 from 68 to 16. What's your bracket looking like, Wayne? We'll start with you, man. I know you had Memphis going far. We were both high on Memphis. We liked Penny Hardaway, and we thought his style of coaching would come around. The players, the athleticism, the high scoring, high flying Memphis Tigers didn't show up, and they got ousted in a 12-5 matchup by Colorado State, who turned out to be one of the near Cinderellas of this whole thing. If it weren't for what a lot of people are calling a travel, Colorado State might be here talking about this Sweet 16 matchup. But, Wayne, what's your bracket looking like?
Well, it's an interesting thing. I had my champion knocked out in the first round, which was Memphis, of course. But as I started looking at my Elite 8 picks, there's a chance that if the teams that I still have alive win in the Sweet 16 and make it to the Elite 8, I will be 6 out of 8 for the Elite 8. So I've still got some chance of having a decent outcome, but I won't be the winner because I didn't pick the winner. I do have some secret brackets out there, one of which I picked Florida, and that is an extremely healthy bracket, and I wish I would have included that one in ATL Prime Sports, but it went somewhere else.
I hear you. Well, currently our winner, Double TTT at the top of the bracket, 99.5% correct. He's got Florida as his national champion.
Yep.
And get this, Double TTT, whatever you want to say, 15 out of 16 of the Sweet 16.
Wow, that's definitely good.
And if it weren't for the buzzer beater for Queens in Maryland, he would have had the Sweet 16 perfected.
Right.
So Double T is close to running away with the $50 Starbucks gift card. We appreciate everybody for playing, everybody for following and subscribing to the YouTube channel. We saw our numbers increasing a little bit there, so thank you for that. My bracket's okay. Going back to the Get You One bracket, my Final Four still intact. Still got Florida, still got Houston, Auburn, and Alabama. And I did pick BYU to the Sweet 16. They could shoot. They're a high-flying offense, veteran team. So I got BYU. I got that one right. I got the East bracket pretty much. I got the East bracket and the Midwest bracket correct. So I did really well there. So my bracket's looking okay. Not looking like I'm going to win the ATL Prime Sports Challenge.
Yeah.
Unless some miraculous things happen, but I'm pretty happy. And look, I tell everybody like this. If you have your Final Four intact after the first weekend, and really after the second weekend when you get into the Final Four, if you've got your Final Four intact, you've had a pretty good bracket.
Really?
You've had a pretty good bracket.
Right. I would say if you get 3 out of 4 in your Final Four, you've got a pretty good bracket.
I agree. I think if you get 6 of the Elite 8, you get 3 of the Final Four, you pick the national championship game, and you get the national championship game correct, and the national championship are cutting down the nets, you're going to win. You're going to win most of the time.
Yeah.
But it seems like this year with the lack of upsets, you see a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4s in this Elite Sweet 16 Elite 8 weekend. So it's been a lot of chalk. I mean, your biggest Cinderella is Arkansas, who really isn't a Cinderella style team. They haven't really had a decent basketball team up there for a while, and to have Calipari in their first year come and take them to the Sweet 16, I would have to say the people up in Jonesboro are absolutely elated. Now they're working on trying to get Petrino to be their head coach again, so we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, we'll see, but it's been very interesting, the bracket challenge, of course, and some quick Sweet 16 notes. I do think it's interesting. If you're watching the YouTube here, you'll see a little graphic. Not one team out of all of the Sweet 16 has 5 starters that played on their team last year. The transfer portal, and this graphic that will show, you'll see Michigan's in like the top left, like close to the top left, and then you see Purdue, I believe, is in the bottom right of that, and it's just mass chaos with the transfer portal and NIL and who's going to pay me, who's not going to pay me. It's just a really interesting graphic, and we'll leave that up there for you guys to gander at while we talk about these Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchups. But let's go ahead and preview that. Wayne, some Sweet 16 notes that I thought were pretty cool. I always like cool statistics to bring to you guys on the show. BYU in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2011.
Yep.
Ole Miss in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2001. That was kind of an eye-opener. And I believe that might have been was that the Valparaiso? Was that the year or two after that? That was in the 90s, I feel like, the Valparaiso Ole Miss upset.
Yeah, I'd have to look at some records to find out. I'm not one of those sports savant guys that can tell you statistics from a game back in 1992 and what the weather was.
In football and baseball, I can. Not so much in basketball anymore. Yeah. I just kind of stick to the two, and I give you some good opinions on what
did you ever used to get you a clipboard and put up one of those stat charts and like stat the game while you're watching it?
Well, yeah, for baseball, I used to keep score for all the Braves games.
Yeah,
that's a scorebook. My dad and I would buy a scorebook, and we'd,
I had
see it.
I
still did that, man.
Yeah, I still did that. I had some roommates that used to do that, sit there with their things and watching the game and checking off everything. But that was before they had the internet, so I think that's the only way they could really keep track.
It's very true. Very different now. Speaking of Ole Miss, their head coach, Chris Beard, became the 8th coach in college basketball history to win an NCAA tournament at 4 different schools. Pretty impressive there. And all 4 number 1 seeds are still alive, so we could have what we had in San Antonio.
Hey, who's going
years ago.
Yeah, who's going to get the next coach from Texas?
Well, Texas, they got what? Sean Miller,
Yeah,
I believe.
I think so.
And then,
Well, it seems like all the Texas coaches go somewhere else and have great success. So I'm
yeah, and
wondering
then
who
now
they're going to.
you have Bo Patino's in the Big East
Yeah.
with his son going from New Mexico to Xavier. But yeah, some coaching carousel talk real quick. Tom Izzo is in the Sweet 16 for the 16th time. Pretty ironic.
Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting. All 4 1 seeds are alive. Usually you see one of them go down or have a scare.
Yeah.
Florida was the closest. Florida, UConn, they lost by 2 points, but I forget the gentleman's name. He hit a 3-pointer at the last second to make it a two-point game, made it a lot closer than – I think it was 5 points, still a close game, don't get me wrong, but it made it a lot closer on the final box score of that one. But yeah, your West Regional is number 1 Florida, number 4 Maryland, and of course that's seeds. Texas Tech, Arkansas in the 3-10 matchup. Your East Regional, Duke and Arizona, Alabama and BYU. Jimmer Fredette's alum. Midwest Regional, Houston and Purdue, Tennessee and Kentucky in the All-SEC matchup. In the South Regionals, you have Auburn and 5th-seeded Michigan and Michigan State versus Ole Miss. Wayne, who do you got moving on in this? You can kind of re-predict your bracket. I'm kind of sticking with what I got, sticking with the stone. I'm not going to change any of my predictions. I'm going to keep Houston in. I'm going to keep Auburn in. I'm going to keep Alabama in. I like Alabama the most this weekend, but they're 2 high-flying offenses in BYU and Alabama. Someone's going to have to play some defense. I like Nate Oates. I like Nielsen. I like them moving forward. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I think you could see 100 points from each team in that one, Wayne. What do you think? Maybe a high-flying, or do you see a lower-scoring game and the pressure gets to them and it's a slow start, or do you see these guys just shooting the ball out?
Which bracket did you just look at? Which quadrant or whatever you want to call it?
I kind of did all of them. I just did. We're just kind of generally talking. But right now, if we are highlighting a bracket, I am highlighting the East Regionals, Duke and BYU, and then the winner of that one in the Elite Eight would play the winner of Duke and Arizona.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've got in that bracket that you just mentioned, I've got Duke and Alabama moving on, and in the in the South bracket, I've got Auburn and Michigan State, and that's actually, if those teams win, that'll be 4 that I've still got, and pull down the screen over here, and then the West, I've got. Well, I had Memphis, but so that's one of my busted ones. And the other one was I still had St. John's in it. So those 2 are out. And then Houston and Tennessee winning the other one. So if the Elite Eight shakes out the way I expect it to, the only 2 teams I will have missing would be Memphis and St. John's. So the rest of them I will have gotten correct.
That's not a bad bracket. I mean, it really isn't. I don't look at if you lose your I kind of look at how many teams you got through to the Elite Eight, to the Final Four. Like I said, if you get 3 out of 4 in the Final Four and you don't win I think you did pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to win a bracket challenge. You have to get so much of the upsets early. Makes a huge difference late. Those little tiny first-round matchups are huge. Like, I probably should have gone Gonzaga. I mentioned it. Georgia goes long scoring droughts. And what happened? They started the game with like a 7-minute scoring drought. It seemed like it was 27-3 of Falcons territory. I mean, it was a blowout before it even became before Georgia even realized they were playing. That was a bad one. But yeah, I got Duke and Alabama moving on. I have now the Texas Tech, Arkansas. The only team I had in that regional was Florida, so I can't get many points from there unless Florida moves on.
Right.
And I do expect Florida to move. I think you could see an All-SEC Final Four. It is very simple at this point. I'm really excited to see it, but yeah, I'm sticking with my guys. I do think the upset to look out Thursday or Friday, and I'm going to go ahead and call it. I think Chris Beard, the Ole Miss Rebels, go to the Elite Eight. I think they upset Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans. I just think the versatility of the Ole Miss Rebels, the ability to get that steal, make that hoop, extend those runs, stop the runs when they're starting to. I just think they're a well-rounded team. Chris Beard's a great coach. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Again, fourth time he's won a tournament game. Our fourth school he's won a tournament game with. When you do that, like Rick Pitino's gone to the Sweet 16 or whatever it is, or won a conference title, whatever it is, with like 4 or 5 different schools. You do that, your Hall of Famer status. Yep. Chris Beard, the off-the-court stuff, yes, you can talk about it, but I like to talk about what happens on the court and on the court only in this show. And Chris Beard and the Ole Miss Rebels are really primed to make a good run, and I will call that upset this weekend. So I got Ole Miss moving on. I got Auburn moving on. But how cool would it be if you could see Michigan State in the Elite Eight? That'd be a eye-grabbing game for sure.
Well, you know what? I guess if I'm going to pick any type of upset, and like you said, it's not really that much of an upset, as if Arkansas can keep going, and I think they could beat Texas Tech, and that team is riding on a high of beating St. John's. So,
yeah, I like your Texas Tech pick. I think it could be a very fun, high-flying type game. Auburn, Michigan, we're in that bracket. Michigan guard Trey Donaldson, an Auburn transfer there. So you got him lacing it up versus Old.
I think there's a lot of that going on in this tournament. There's been several games I've watched where players are playing against the team that they were on the year previous. So it goes back to that transfer portal deal.
Yeah, and then Auburn's Janai Broom and Cardwell against Michigan's Golden and Wolf. It's going to be a draw, and it's going to be what you want to watch. And I just like all these blue bloods in it. I think everybody loves a Cinderella if you're a true basketball fan.
Yeah. But
if you're just a simple, I'm a March Madness guy, kind of like me. I mean, I'm a college basketball fan more so this year because Georgia was better. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you when I watch something and when I don't watch something. And I'll be honest with you. I think with all the blue bloods in there and your Auburn being the 1 seeds, all your 1 seeds alive, I think you're going to see some hella numbers in the viewership board this weekend. And this is the most watched tournament in several years. So I think all the blue beds, the lack of upsets, I think a lot of people that are casual fans like that stuff. So lot to look forward to. Our final little portion of the bracket: Houston, Purdue, Tennessee, Kentucky. You see Purdue pulling an upset, Wayne, or you like the Cougars moving on from the Big 12?
I like the Cougars moving on again because of their coach mainly. I mean, if you're going to be transferring people the way that they do, really the hinge of the door as it is the coach. I mean, because everything else is in movement. So I'm picking Houston there and Tennessee against Kentucky.
And you gotta look at Houston as a real contender to win this whole thing strictly because of their defense and the way Sampson coaches these guys up. He's an intense coach. No moment has been too big for him. So I got Houston moving on, and I got Rifle Rick Barnes in Tennessee moving on. Ziegler's really played pretty well in this tournament. Now I'm anxious to see how Rifle Rick gets these guys going. He's been to the Sweet 16 before. He needs to get over this hump. And, Tennessee needs to get that Final Four hump. If they get to that Final Four hump, maybe the weight of the world falls off their shoulders and they just win this thing outright. But, I got Tennessee moving on. That's pretty much it. I do think Arkansas has a good shot, but I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I just think the Big 12 has been a pretty good basketball conference. And, again, I already mentioned Florida. I'm sticking with my Final Four from the rest of the way. And that basically wraps up our Sweet 16 preview, Wayne. Any final thoughts on the Sweet 16 weekend?
Well, just we got kind of a surprise in our group there that someone had actually picked Maryland as the champion. Yeah. And they're still in it. And so that would be a pretty interesting thing if the Maryland Terrapins were to be the national champion and somebody in our group picked that.
Yeah, it'd be great. And, folks, if you're listening to the show and you're still alive in the bracket challenge, Again, whoever wins, please reach out to us at ATL Prime Sports on Facebook, Instagram, or X. Just direct message one of us. We'll respond. We'll get your personal information. Won't be sold or anything like that. We're just a low end totem pole guy, but we'll get you. We'll ship you your $50 Starbucks gift card. It's two $25 Starbucks gift cards. We'll ship it to the winner, and just please direct message. You can direct message either one of us directly on X, or you can message us at ATL Prime Sports. And as always, if you like the content, please give us a like and a subscribe. Wayne, you ready to move on?
Yeah, let's get back into that baseball. I can hear the bats cracking right now.
I can too. I can smell a hot dog. I got the suds. Just I cannot wait. Next Friday, I'm going to opening day versus the Marlins, home opener for the Braves, that is. So, again, it should be a national holiday. Major League Baseball opening day is tomorrow. Let's pick each division winner in our wild cards for the season. We'll start off in the National League, Wayne. We'll just move on. Right now in the National League, Todd in the East has the Phillies as well as Larry. Larry's got the Phillies, and if you're looking on YouTube, I just put TC's and Larry's picks in no particular order, just boom, boom, boom for visual reference. But Larry takes the Phils. TC takes the Phils. Wayne, what say you?
Well, I'm taking the Mets.
Taking the Mets.
Mets.
Yep. I don't mind that pick. I like to pick up a Soto. They did re-sign Alonso.
Yep.
Got a great pitching staff, and
if they can keep it together, the whole season, or at least have a few slumps as possible, I think they will have a better chance. But if they start slumping, there's a problem.
It's going to be a fun season. I was high on the Phillies with Zach Wheeler, Sanchez, front end of that rotation, and Bryce Harper, Schwarber, Trey Turner, Real Muto. And I start thinking, man, the Braves have won this division with 5 out of the last 6 years, 4 out of the last 6 years, whatever it is. Dominated this division since its inception in the early 90s. Why are we picking against the Atlanta Braves when they have the second best odds in the National League, behind the Dodgers, to win the division? Vegas isn't usually wrong. Vegas is not wrong a lot of the times. I've changed my mind. Now, maybe this is a little homer take. I got the Braves. I got Olsen and Acuna jerseys in the rafters here at ATL Prime Sports. Parkview High grad, by the way. 06. I think more like 12, 13. Don't remember the exact year Olsen came behind me. But let me tell you, this Braves team, after everything they've endured the last 2 seasons, really, from their 3 seasons since their championship removal, Acuna going down, we know all the injuries, we could go on and on. I think making the playoffs last year and getting ousted the way they did, playing the team that ousted them right off the bat.
Yep.
A.J. Smith-Shawver made the team as the 5th starter. He's going to be the number 4, so he can pitch against the team that he had a bad start against. I like the way this thing rounds up. So it looks like Spencer Strider is going to start the season out in AAA. He's going to get 3 starts, and if all goes well with no pain, he'll rejoin the Atlanta Braves baseball club. From all reports, looking like by the end of the month of April. Same with Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna is off the charts in terms of health. The bat speed's back. He's looking good. Look, not many people can weather the storm in the first month of the season, but when you get these 2 guys back, you get a Cy Young front runner from 2 years ago, and you get a former MVP back. And let me tell you, that has put me over the hump to put the Braves as your 2025 NL East champions. I think Grant Holmes, A.J. Smith-Shawver will take steps forward. I love the 2 super sports at the front end of the rotation, and I'm calling them super sports because you got 2 SSs. Spencer Strider will be back, and Spencer Schwellenbach, picked up in my fantasy baseball league, Balls Deep, if you're interested in the name of it. And let me tell you something. I stretched for Spencer Schwellenbach because this guy is throwing gas, and his strikeout to walk ratio is through the roof. It's unbelievable. This guy's striking players out. He's getting guys out. He's sawing off bats. He's doing all the right things. I'm anxious to see if he takes that turn, because if it's a sophomore slump, this is going to make me look bad. Braves will probably be a wild card.
Right, and he didn't have any injuries either, does he?
No. So he's
that's
healthy.
a big thing.
And then Chris Sale, obviously a strong Cy Young season, Triple Crown winner last year. He's coming back. He's going to be healthy. The back spasms shouldn't be anything to worry about. With the 6-man rotation, you could keep Grant Holmes in there. This is just a theory. And you could try and keep Chris Sale a little healthier for the postseason if that's the case. But I'm going with the Atlanta Braves to win the NL East for that reason. I think they'll be able, the addition of Jurjevich and Profar, I think they'll get just enough contact from him and Kelnick until Acuna comes back, and then the pop starts. I see Riley, Ozzie Albies, and Matt Olson right here bouncing back with career-type years. And remember, folks, in 2023, they tied the record for most home runs in Major League Baseball history with 300-plus home runs. That's not going anywhere. I think you'll see that prevail. I think you'll see a lot more of the slug Braves that you saw in 23 that just slugged their way to the playoffs. I'm anxious to see this NL East race. I think it's the best division in baseball. It's been that way for the last couple of years. Doesn't look like it on paper the last couple of years, but we've seen the Mets and the Phillies and the Braves all be in postseason contention the last couple of years. So I like the Braves in the NL East. Wayne, you like the Mets? We have two Phillies. Let's go.
I'll tell you the reason I picked the Mets, though, and this is going to seem silly, but they really gave Atlanta fits last year. And I wanted to look, if they do win, then I'll look like the smartest guy in the room because I picked somebody that wasn't Atlanta. But if I don't and Atlanta wins the whole thing, people will just go, oh, well, he just picking, So I'm picking the path of least resistance and greatest reward should it happen.
I like the pick. The pick. So we'll see. Let's go to the NL Central. Wayne, who you got?
Cincinnati Reds.
Going with the Speedway Reds.
Yep.
Let's see. I have the Reds just out of the playoffs. It was really tough to me. It was between them and the Padres. I think you might be right on this thing. They may knock the ball out of the ballpark this year. Gavin Lux, young prospect, they got McLean. You got a pretty good pitching staff, Hunter Green, Ashcroft. I really like what the Reds have done. We obviously are going to see one of the speed demons in baseball, Ellie De La Cruz and the Braves. They'll play in a Speedway Series, kind of close to a little closer to you than it is to us. But Bristol Motor Speedway, they'll play a Speedway Series there, and I'm very interested in trying to find a way into that matchup. I'd love to see what the field's going to look like in the infield of Bristol. That's going to be interesting. You have the Reds. I'm going to go with the north side. The north side of Chicago, I'm going with the Chicago Cubs. TC is going Cubs as well, and Larry is taking your side. So we're divided on this down the house.
Well, the only team the team that I think has a chance, and I've got them. Well, it's a giveaway as part of my wild card, is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh could be good. Paul Skeens. They still got McCutcheon up there. I like the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I don't know if they score enough runs, Wayne. They got plenty of pitching. Brian Reynolds is out there in the outfield holding it down. We'll see what happens, but I like the front end. Imanga, I hope I'm terrible with Japanese pronunciation names unless it gets said all the time like Otani. Justin Steele at the front end of that Chicago Cubs rotation. They got Hodge in the bullpen. Merriweather got a pretty good bullpen. Presley, closer. Catcher, Amaya's pretty good. But Nico Horner at second base. Picked him up in my fantasy league. I'm expecting big things from him. Shaw at third base. Former Brave Dansby Swanson. You got Ian Happ in left field. And then right field, they picked up the big guy, Kyle Tucker, who's expected to have a big-time season. Suzuki is the DH. They also got Justin Turner in there who can come in and play third base a little bit. I really like the Cubs. I like the north side up there.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with the Cubs. I think after a miserable season last year, I totally expect the Cubs to turn it around and win that division.
Yeah. Now the hard division. This was not an easy one for me to pick. In fact, it was so hard. I just decided to go with my heart on this one.
Did you go the Dodgers in the NL West?
No, I went with the San Francisco Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah, they've always been a favorite team of mine in that division. So it was so hard to pick. I just decided to pick them.
Yeah, and they picked up a big shortstop acquisition in Willie Adames, arguably the best shortstop free agent available at the time. So they made their roster a little bit better. But I can't go against the world champion Dodgers. I just can't. That $1 billion payroll, 90% of it's deferred like a Discover credit card. But that's a story for a different day. We're not talking about that here on ATL Prime Sports. We're talking about division winners. But I got the Dodgers. Ohtani, the pitching's there. They obviously signed Snell. They still got Glasnow, Freddie Freeman. But look, it would not surprise me if the Padres win this division. The Dodgers are getting up there in age. Max Muncy's getting up there. Freddie Freeman's getting up there. Will Smith, their catcher's very good, very elite at the position. I'm anxious to see what happens out there. But I like the Padres, too. They got a veteran presence out there, former Brave. Jason Hayward's out there in San Diego. St. Diego. If you're a Anchorman fan, I won't say it here, but I believe it's German for. But yes, I got the Dodgers. I got the world champs winning that division, and I think it's pretty clear-cut and easy as to why that roster is just unbeatable. TC is chalk. He's doing the same thing. Dodgers. TC went Cubs as well in the Central. I think I already said that. Larry, Dodgers as well. So,
here's the thing I want to ask you about the Dodgers. Have the Dodgers ever repeated World Series champs?
No.
Say that's another thing that was making me toss my head around, and why I finally just had to give up and pick a favorite.
Well, I like it. I think your Dodgers, again, just $1 billion payroll. It's too much to turn your eyes at. They already have a 2-game lead in that division, technically.
Yeah, well.
They played the Cubs. But Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, that's your front four. Not going to be anything to shake a pole at. Kirby Yates, former Brave there, comes west. He's going to play. He's going to be a setup guy. You got Scott in the bullpen. I mentioned Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman at second base, Mookie Betts, Conforto. It's just Teoscar Hernandez is out there. They're just deeper than the ocean, the Mariana Trench. They have enough on that roster to get some injuries and more. So I'm going with the Dodgers there. And again, Dave Roberts, weight of the world lifted off of his shoulders, winning that world championship last year. So they're playing with house money yet again, and they got the best roster in baseball. And Vegas, again, doesn't lie often. Wild cards. We'll run through these. Phillies, Mets, Padres for myself. Braves, Mets, Padres for Todd. Braves, Mets, Padres for Larry. All is in your court.
Yeah, well, you're talking National League, right? So
National League first.
I'm going Miami, Pittsburgh, and Arizona Diamondbacks.
Miami, I mentioned them 2 years ago, and they snuck around. Yep. Sandy Alcantara's back. They're actually building pieces in South Beach.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what that could be a pick to hang your hat on at the end of the year if the Miami Marlins do indeed make the tournament. That's why I said the NL East been the best division in baseball the last 3 years. They had the Mets, Phillies, Braves make it 2 years ago. The Mets, Braves, and Phillies last year. We'll see if they're vying for 3 more teams this year. Let's go from the National League, the American League. And again, Braves, Mets, Padres for both Todd and Larry. American League East, I'm going with the Bo Sox, the Boston Red Sox fever pitch.
Don't ever pick them. You can't pick them. You're just gonna get them all excited and lit up.
Look, I like the addition of Bregman. I think Devers as a DH is going to be a great fit. He can worry about the bat. I just think the Boston Red Sox are due and poised for a breakthrough season. I like the Bo Sox out of the AL East. Wayne, what say you?
Baltimore Orioles.
Orioles are a good pick.
Yeah.
Wayne goes with Baltimore. Larry is also going with me and the Red Sox. And Todd, despite Garrett Cole and possible the loss of Giancarlo Stanton for the year, that could be a big loss. He's still going Yankees to win that division.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Yeah, Yankees is another team I can't pick for anything.
Yeah, it's tough to pick the Yankees, but that's one of the reasons why I like the depth of the Red Sox. Again, Bregman coming over, playing third base, solidifies that position. You got Tanner Houck. Walker Buehler came over from the Dodgers. Garrett Crochet there. They did get Aroldis Chapman as their closer. Connor Wong, great catcher. Again, Trevor Story, one of the better shortstops in the games there. Jarren Duran in left field. And, of course, Abreu. And, again, I mentioned Devers. They got a pretty deep lineup, including Campbell as well at second base. So I really like what the Red Sox did in the offseason to bolster their bullpen, bolster their lineup. And I think it puts them over the top. We will see very shortly.
Yeah,
I cannot wait till tomorrow. High-flying action all day. And it's just, again, one of my favorite days. But from the AL East, we go to the AL Central. Unless you have any final thoughts on the East real quick.
No, I'm ready to get out of the East.
Yeah, I know it's interesting. You know, the Tampa Bay Rays are renovating their stadium. Yeah. They're going to redo it. Looks like they're going to stay.
How many times have they redone that stadium?
This is actually the first.
Oh, okay. So I must be thinking of somebody else.
They did some minor upgrades earlier. They did, but they're going to have to almost redo the whole thing from, I believe it was Helene, or was it Ian? One of the Hurricanes ripped that thing apart.
Yeah,
they're going to play
at Sky
Field in Tampa Bay this year, and they're actually setting that up. So we'll get out of the East. Go ahead, Wayne.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, I remember it was somewhere down in Florida. It may have been Miami. For a while there, the construction on that stadium was affecting the airport. They couldn't take off from certain runways because of the cranes and everything that they had up.
Crazy. And that's Runway Wayne right there.
Right, but it's no longer in no longer doing business. So I'm more able to watch sports and play out in the yard now.
Well, isn't that fun? It's that time of year. Get the lawnmower going, get it oiled up, get the oil changed in it, get the tires pumped up. If you got tires, or if you got
to sharpen the blade too. That's a major thing.
Sharpen the blade, exactly. It's that time of year. It's what baseball is. From the AL East to the AL Central, Todd is going with. That's my drum roll. Kansas City Royals. Larry is going with who I thought Todd was going to go with.
Yeah, well.
The Detroit Tigers.
Right.
So Larry's going Tigers. TC's going Royals. Wayne, what say you?
Yeah, I'm going Tigers as well. And, I know we're going to go over the wild card in a while, but I do have Kansas City in the wild card. So I'm kind of more a little bit picking this one a little bit more with some expertise, so to speak.
Yeah, I like the Kansas City's top three, the top four guys: Lorenzen, Waka, Lugo, Reagans. They got Estevez and as their closer. Pretty decent bullpen there. Stratton's in there, veteran catcher, and Salvador Perez, but pretty much a Hall of Fame type player. Jonathan India comes over from Todd's Reds. Bobby Witt Jr., arguably one of the best players in baseball. Garcia at third base. Isbell in center field. Hunter Renfroe, really good ball player out in the right field. And they got Michael Massey as their DH. So, and they also picked up Kayvon Biggio, who played for the Braves a little bit last year, has a chip on his shoulder to make a team and really, maybe live up to his dad's standard, who is a Hall of Famer. So maybe Kayvon Biggio comes in for him. But I like the addition of Jonathan India. It really shores up their right side of their infield. I like the Royals there. Again, Salvador Perez, one of the better catchers in baseball. He really influences the game. The pitchers, they like throwing to him. I like the Royals in that division. The AL West, in my opinion, the toughest division to pick in all of baseball. You want to go with the Astros. They've been there. They've done that. But I'm going with your Texas Rangers, Wayne. Are you doing the same?
I absolutely am doing the same. That wasn't even a question. I may have filled that one out first.
Of course. So Wayne's going Rangers. I'm going Rangers. Todd is going Astros. Larry is going Astros as well. Let's get into the pick. Simply, I like the Rangers, their ability to hit the ball.
Yeah.
They can pitch. They got Leiter. They got Evaldi, who had a great year last year, as we all know. So on my fantasy baseball team, not going to say anything, had a pretty good draft. Church is a reliever, the setup guy. Luke Jackson, you may have heard that name before, going out from Atlanta to Texas. And, Jonah Heim.
Another former Atlanta player. I think they've got the former Atlanta pitcher.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now.
Chris Martin's out there.
Okay. And what about the guy that wore the pearls? Who was that?
Jock Peterson. We're about to get to him. He's going to be the DH. Maybe even play some outfield in there. But I think the biggest pickup, Adolis Garcia, get healthy.
Yeah.
And again, you get a player, you get healthy, you get good. Adolis Garcia, Tavares, Wyatt Langford, quietly one of the better left fielders in the game. So I'm going with the Rangers, and of course, one of the better shortstops in the game is Corey Seager. I think Josh Smith, who backs up Seager, is going to play a big role in this lineup. Marcus Semien, Jake Berger. So pretty deep lineup, Wayne. I think you got a lot to expect moving forward in the Arlington area. I'm going Rangers. Again, Todd went Astros, Larry went Astros. And then our wild cards for myself in the American League, I'm going Orioles, I'm going Yankees, and I'm going Astros. I wanted to put in that fourth spot. I did not want to put the Astros.
Yeah.
I wanted to put the Mariners there.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Mariners find a way to miss the playoffs.
Well,
they did not add too much to their roster that missed one game last year. I do like their closer. I like Munoz. I like Rodriguez out there. I just don't know if they did enough in the offseason, so I put them just out of my wild card. But they could make me look bad because they could turn around and win that whole division. The Mariners are pretty good. But those are my wild cards. Orioles, Yankees, Astros, Todd's wild cards in the American League, the Boston Red Sox, the Baltimore Orioles, the Minnesota Twins. That's another team that could be really good.
Yeah.
And I think they could win that division in the Central as well. Carlos Correa is still out there. He's still got a really good lineup from top to bottom. They play a lot of small balls, steal a lot of bases out there. So Red Sox, Orioles, Twins for Todd. Orioles, your Rangers, and the Yankees for Larry. Your wild cards for the American League, Wayne.
Toronto, Kansas City, and Seattle.
I like Seattle. I like Toronto. Max Scherzer up there in Toronto. Bo Bichette's bound to have a breakout year. Vlad Guerrero Jr., a power at bat and a contract year. Expect a monster year from them. Toronto always finds a way to stay in it, and they may just well slip into that wild card. Great pick, Wayne. Guys, that wraps up our topics for tonight's show. Let's get into our final thought and get out of here. Wayne, start us off, buddy.
Well, I didn't really have a final thought planned for this show, so I'm going to use a little bit of this to promote some stuff. If you have now I don't know how many people have these, but if you have a yacht that is over 70 feet long and you want a good anchor for it, all the best anchors are made up in Seattle.
The Mariner State, baby.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you. What do you got for your final thought there?
Man, it's a good one. Arthur Blank has hoisted just about every sports championship trophy for his teams. Atlanta United in 2017, I believe, or was it 18? But they won the MLS Cup, the Atlanta Drive in its inaugural season. Arthur Blank's hoisting the SoFi Cup or trophy, whatever they call it. When are the Falcons going to get in on the trend?
Yeah, that would be nice. That would appreciate that.
Can the Falcons get in on that? Losing season for 7 consecutive years, back in another salary cap hell situation. What's it going to take to see Arthur Blank hoist the Lombardi Trophy? A miracle.
Yeah. Well,
that's my final thought. That's it. That's all I got. I have gone from up here on the Atlanta Falcons last year to the complete opposite. And you won't even be able to see my hands if you're watching the YouTube. So a miracle. That's what it's going to take, because everybody wants to say Kirk Cousins this and Kirk Cousins that. Well, Kirk Cousins didn't do anything but sign the dotted line. Yeah. Arthur Blank, Raheem Morris, and Terry Fontenot are responsible for that $100 million contract. Yeah. They're responsible for not putting Kirk Cousins on the injury chart or injury report prior to those weeks. They could have benched him, given Michael Penix his reps, and see what happens. Or you could have just drafted Michael Penix Jr., stunk last year, had a higher draft pick this year, and have the sights ahead of you for 2025 and beyond. Yeah. No. No. Not with Arthur Blank. We'll see what happens, but that is my final thought. Very interesting from when I started the show off. I know this is very cool. But on the other hand, in this city, the Falcons pay the bills. Yeah. And right now, they're an afterthought to everything in this city. And I don't like that one bit. And the only reason they've been in the news is for nonsense Falcons type stuff. Yeah. Oh, $100 million contract. Now Michael Penix, what are we going to do? Are they going to trade him? It's just always nonsense. It's a long-winded final thought. It was done a while ago, but now I'm just blabbering. Let's get out of here, Wayne. That wraps us up. Any other final thought? Did one come into your head?
Nope. I'm just ready to hear them bats cracking.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear the pop of the mitt. I'm ready to hear the bats crack, and I'm ready for hot dog. Get your hot dog, yeah. Or my favorite one of all time, Turner Field. Have no fear, the beer man is here. For Wayne in Memphis, Larry in Adairsville, Todd in Woodstock, I'm JJ right here in Lilburn, Georgia. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you like the content, please give us a like and a subscribe at ATL Prime Sports across the board. We'll see you next week. Get you one.